Hello everyone, this is going to be theme 4 and part 1 in theme 4. It will concern a new stage in the research process, which is the research hypothesis. We will talk about the research hypothesis. In this theme, we will present and discuss the following points. First of all, we are going to talk about the meaning of a hypothesis. Next, we'll talk about the nature of hypothesis. And third one, we'll talk about functions of hypothesis. But before talking about all these points concerning the research hypothesis, we have to talk about something else that is tightly related to research hypothesis, that is the research question. Now, we have talked previously in the previous presentations about the different stages that precede a research hypothesis, that are the research problem and literature review. We have said that research starts by a research problem. And we have said that we cannot start research without identifying a solvable research problem. Generally, when we identify the problem, this problem should be turned in terms of research question. And here we are going to talk about the relationship between research question and the research hypothesis, or research questions and research hypotheses. Because research hypotheses cannot exist without research questions. Simply because research hypotheses, they are tentative answers of the research question. Now, a research problem should be formulated in terms of research question or research questions. That means we have the problem, and then in order to make this problem accurately understandable, we should turn it into research question. Of course, when we talk about research questions, we talk about two different types of research questions based on the nature of the study. Whether the study is purely descriptive, qualitative, so here we need to raise qualitative research questions, or whether the question, whether the study is purely testing, measuring, that is, in other words, quantitative, we need to formulate and to raise quantitative research questions. The difference between, in terms of how we draft the research questions, when it comes to qualitative research questions, generally they are purely WH questions. It's about the what, the why, the how of the social phenomenon. Now, when it is quantitative study, and we know that when we talk about quantitative research, generally we look for, as we have said before, and we mentioned that before, we look for associations between the variables, we look for relationships between variables, we look for correlation between the variables. In this case, the type of questions that need to be asked here, they are auxiliary questions. So whenever it is an auxiliary question, it's purely a quantitative research question. And correspondingly, when it comes to the research hypotheses, when we have qualitative research questions, we need to formulate qualitative research hypotheses. And when we have quantitative research questions, we need to formulate quantitative research hypotheses. Now, let's talk about the meaning of a hypothesis. Generally, etymologically speaking, the word hypothesis is made up of two other terms, two other words, hypo and thesis. Hypo means tentative or subject to the verification, and thesis means statement about the solution of a problem. A hypothesis, it's about deduction, which means to move from general to particular. As such, a hypothesis is a tentative statement about the solution of a problem. It offers a solution of the problem that is to be verified. We have said that a hypothesis is tightly related to question. The question is about the problem. The problem is about to suggest a researchable problem and the solution to that problem. So when it comes to the hypothesis, generally the hypothesis is a tentative answer of the question. So it's up to the study, up to the investigation to confirm or disconfirm the hypothesis. So the study will confirm or disconfirm the hypotheses. Let's talk now about some definitions of hypotheses taken from the literature on this point. The first definition says a hypothesis is a tentative supposition or provisional guess which seems to explain the situation and the observation. In the second definition of a hypothesis, we read a hypothesis is an assumption or proposition whose testability is to be verified on the basis of the accountability of its implications with evidences. The third definition of a hypothesis is as follows. A hypothesis is a statement temporarily accepted as true, what is known about the phenomenon, and it is employed in new truth. Overall, we can say that a hypothesis is a tentative supposition, a tentative answer. It's up to the study again and again and again to confirm or disconfirm this answer. So the study, we confirm or disconfirm this answer. Generally, this appears in the last part of any investigation when it comes to come up with conclusions in relation to the findings. It's there that we have to confirm or disconfirm the hypothesis. And when we confirm or disconfirm hypotheses, the researcher here has answered the research questions that he has raised at the beginning of his or her research investigation. Now, concerning the functions of a hypothesis, we can read a hypothesis is a temporary solution of a problem. It's temporary, that means it's not absolute, it's not final. It's the study that will tell us whether it is true or false. It may provide possible solutions to the problem. Each hypothesis may lead to formulate another hypothesis. Generally, sometimes in some cases, a hypothesis may provide us a new hypothesis. Of course, the hypothesis delimits the field research. It sensitizes the research to have a realistic approach to the problem. And finally, a hypothesis offers the simple means for collecting evidences to the verification. This simply shows the importance of stating the hypotheses, formulating hypotheses, and the hypotheses, when stated, when formulated, they should be formulated in a very concise and very precise way. The more they are formulated in a precise and concise way, simply this shows and tells the investigator, the researcher, that he is put on the right track regarding his investigation, regarding his study. Thank you very much indeed.